Okay, good morning. I'm working for Nespresso, so we are making this little object that allows consumers to make a coffee at home. So it's a coffee inside packaged in a single portion. And I will explain you what we did since more or less 10 years with the conservation organizations. We have a program at Nespresso called A Collaboration that is the umbrella covers all sustainable initiatives that we are doing. This is what we are going to say. To start first, our goal, we are a business, and the goal is to sustain the business. As you, a conservation organization, you have to sustain the nature, we have to sustain the business. And what we are trying to do at Nespresso is to find the right way to link both, so that we can sustain the business and sustain the nature at the same time. And it's always what we are trying to do. We have we are a branch of Nestlé, and maybe you are aware of the Nestlé Creating Shared Value program that a collaboration is more or less based on. So here you can read a big sentence from one big economic guy. Nespresso Innovative Program is not driven by charity, but by creating shared value. So we are in the business. We are not here to make charity. We are here to sustain the business, as I said. So it's why when we started to have a high growth in terms of sales, let's say, our first thing was how would we sustain the sourcing of the coffee, which is our core product. And in this, we started to think this in 2002, more or less. And we quickly understood that it will go through preservation of the nature, because our coffee, which is a very rare coffee in the world, more or less 1 or 2% of the coffee that is grown in the world can suit in our capsule. As it is rare, we have to be sure that in 10, 20 years from now we will still be able to source it. And we have quickly understood that we need to grow this coffee under sustainable conditions, sustainable agriculture. And it's why we built a program called AAA, which is our way to source the coffee. And it is based on 3 challenges: long-term supply, sustainability challenge, and profitability of smallholders. Because of course, today one thing that we are facing, if I take an example in Colombia, is that the son of the farmer prefers to go to Bogota and work in an internet company or whatever than to keep the farm of his father. So we have to be sure that this son will take care of the farm to be able to sell us this coffee product. So we have built a program called AAA. AAA, and it's based on 3 pillars. The first is sustainability, and we base this program on the Sustainable Agriculture Network principles, and verified, certified by Rainforest Alliance, that allow us to improve the quality of the coffee, to increase the quantity of coffee available. So all these things, and it's where here the link is that with all the principles from Rainforest, we were able to have more business, because we had more coffee and we have a higher quality, less rejection and whatever. So it's where I think it's important that at the end there's a win-win. Nature wins because we apply sustainable practices, and Nespresso wins because we add more coffee and business. And of course the smallholders also, because if we are buying more coffee, of course we have more revenue. Second thing was the quality, but this is a must. This is if you want to sell coffee to Nespresso, this is the first thing. So let's say I should have started with this one because it's the starting point. And then productivity. some people might think that we should go for organic or whatever. Here, what we have seen is that if we want a coffee farm to be sustainable, the main revenue will come, his revenue will come from productivity. So if you want it to stay for a long time, he has to provide a lot of coffee. So here we are working on that, but according to sustainable principles. So and then you have here a lot of just pictures like this to show what we are doing and all the sustainable agriculture networks principles. Yes, these are all the tools that we are doing. What we have done also is working with Rainforest and other partners. Is that we are also, I won't say educate, but I would say certificating, but yes, these farmers, because if you go to Colombia, most of the farmers do not have any book to count how many fertilizer they bought and so on. So we are also training them to sustain their business. We are making some, how do you say that? Training, yes, training, exactly, sorry. We have also a great project, but this one we love it because it's really, in Colombia, each farmer has his own water treatment center. But you can imagine that not all of them are working very well. So we are taking the water from the river to wash the coffee, and then maybe it's not well washed before going back to the river. So in Colombia, we have built with our partners, and it took a lot of years, what we call a central mill, where hundreds of farmers will bring their production, and now all the coffee will be washed here, and this will improve everything. This helps us to have a better quality and higher quantity of coffee of the quality. This helps the farmer because now he has more time to live with the family. And we have some quotes from these farmers, and that tells us that now from there they can stay more on their farm with their family and so on, because they don't have to do it at home, they can do it here now. And another thing is about environmental benefits for the water, for example, because we are selling a lot of water, and the water is washed before going back to the river. So these are figures. We are 50,000 farmers and so on. We have also some project of cocoa. It's where we are today, where we have 66% of the farmers, of our farmers, are applying the AAA program, and 18% is Rainforest Alliance certified. And it's how we, let's say, how we make business. Here you have all the figures, all the benefits that you can have, and it's, as I said from the beginning, everybody has to find a benefit. So you will have either economic benefits for Nespresso, either social and economic benefits for the farmer, or either environmental benefits like water savings. So I mean, it's how let's say, how we do the work, how the partnership with an organization will work, because there will be a win-win situation. Now and then, of course, now next step, what we are doing is now we are engaging with Rainforest, with you have maybe seen that we are using aluminium for our capture, and aluminium is bad perceived, let's say, as a bad perception from the consumer. We use it for different reasons. First is that it keeps the quality of the coffee until you have it at home, and second, it's recyclable. So in 2009 we started to work with IUCN because they have a background in mining, with the mining industry. And we wanted to define with IUCN what are the challenges of the aluminium. And there were two things coming out. First is about recycling of the capsules, and second thing was about the sourcing of the aluminium. So the first thing that we put in place is to collect, or to put in place the collection system in place all around the world. And then IUCN is helping us here because they have contacts with government, with companies and whoever, who can help us also to be stronger in front of the others that do not want this to happen. So we started to do that, and we, as Gerard said, we are now starting a really new initiative, and which is to drive better performance of aluminium production. And here, what we have done with IUCN is that we have collected the numbers of companies that would like also to go in the same journey as we want. This means to improve the production of the aluminium. And IUCN, let's say, we convene a forum, we discuss that, and then since the beginning of the year now, IUCN is there to gather all these companies and is driving the initiative called Aluminium Stewardship Initiative. That will develop the standard for responsible aluminium. Because I can show you why, for example, we had some issue. You can imagine when you have this kind of thing and one of the pages of the information was not very good for the brand, let's say. But you see, 2 November 2007, 2 years later, after having put in place the recycling system, what was in the page of Libération. So, and now, these are also but here, what I wanted to say is that what now Nespresso is waiting from NGOs and organizations like IUCN is to gather over stakeholders, let's say, that have the same goal as us, or that could have the same goal as us, or that have the same impact and dependencies on the landscape or whatever, in the boat, so that by this we are stronger and we can do better. And it's really what we are trying to do now with this Aluminium Initiative, is that with all the members, and of course with the credibility of IUCN and their job they have made on the mining industry, they will be able to bring players using aluminium or whatever, but they do not see where the issue is. They will be able to alert them and to bring them to the board. So it's really what we are expecting now from organizations like this. We have also the same issue at the coffee level, because what we are doing with Rainforest at the farm level is great. But what's happening if my neighbors, the neighbors of the farm, are spoiling whatever they want? We won't solve the issue. My farm could be the best biodiversity, whatever we want. If all my neighbors are making the lizard out of it, I won't be able to have coffee in years from now. So it's where also the Nespresso is expecting from organizations like IUCN is to be able to discuss with the others at the landscape level or even be higher, really to engage with the business, to engage with the conservation organization of the landscape, so that we can all drive an initiative that will protect the landscape. So it's the next thing that we want to do now with the incident, and we will see what we can do. Here you have a lot of examples of what we are doing. So, that's all.
So you'll have the chance to ask questions to all the presenters in this session after all the presentations. So what I'm going to do now is immediately move on to the next presentation, which is from Jeff Hayward, who comes to us from Rainforest Alliance. And Jeff leads a global program on climate mitigation. So I'll let Jeff now present. Let me just, please, could you put the slides up? Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody, and thanks for Nespresso, and thank you certainly for explaining a lot about the collaborative relationship we've had together. I'm an environmental forester. For more than 20 years I've been working on promoting sustainability and natural resource management, largely through market-driven strategies. For about 13 years of that, I've been lucky enough to be working with the Rainforest Alliance. For those of you who are not familiar with the organization, it's a conservation and sustainability nonprofit based in New York but operating globally. Since our foundation 25 years ago, our primary focus is how to transform land use practices and business practices through effective consumer behavior and use that as a fulcrum to achieve conservation and livelihood outcomes. We're 25 years old. We've been growing considerably. Our Rainforest Alliance certification seal is becoming more and more well known throughout a number of different crops. Currently, close to 3% of global coffee and tea is now Rainforest Alliance certified. Almost 9% of the world's tea is Rainforest Alliance certified, and 15% of the world's coffee is Rainforest Alliance certified. So we're having increasingly more impacts through using certification standards, best practice standards within supply chains. And this is our model of working with businesses and engaging them. And it's in a value chain approach, largely with companies that are acting on the ground. Working on the ground in forest and agroforest landscapes and tourism destinations. But essentially, at the level of the producer, we're working, I didn't do that. At the level of the producer, we're working to build capacity and technical assistance, helping them to understand and orient to certification standards and what they mean. At the level of distributors, traders, and brands, we're working in traceability and corporate engagement, and then helping to build market demand, corporate engagement strategies to seek more Rainforest Alliance certified products. We do this through a number of different brands that we work with. There's hundreds of brands that are somehow engaged. I'm not sure why this is advancing automatically. I'm not touching this. There's a number of different brands that are engaged with Rainforest Alliance that are in agribusiness, in pulp and paper sector, in the food industry. But then there are many brands that want to do things related to conservation and climate change that are not in these sectors. But every company is a paper company, at least for now, because we all use paper and most use packaging. Fewer brands are actually working in sectors of raw materials, but many do have supply chains and sourcing that impacts land uses. So I want to talk now about what we've done on promoting climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies amongst companies and brands that are looking for ways to strategize and change and have an impact. One of the developments was the creation of a voluntary verification standard that could be on an add-on module to the Sustainable Agriculture Standard to work with agricultural companies that are certified. And in doing so, these companies, many small businesses and cooperatives and smallholders would be able to demonstrate that they're reducing greenhouse gas emissions and they're increasing the level of carbon storage within soil and within plants on farm, and also preparing for and implementing practices for adaptation. And that's what the climate module does. It was something that was helped out by Ethico, a coffee trader from Belgium, with farms in Guatemala that actually supply coffee to Nespresso. In addition to this, we've also worked with some companies like the e-com trading company in Mexico, with Olam in Ghana, to work on the development of carbon credit generating projects within farms that are supplying them with cocoa or coffee. Since the beginning of our organization, we've promoted forest stewardship certification as a best management practice to help avoid forest degradation and avert deforestation. Nowadays, with potentials for payment of environmental services, we are promoting best management practices through FSC-style management as ways that community forest enterprises can add value and resource additional finance streams to their operations. This is an example of the Guatemala community managed forest concessions that have FSC certification, and over 500,000 hectares of land will probably reduce greenhouse gas emissions of about 30 million tons over the next 30 years. We also support credible carbon markets by auditing to voluntary carbon standards. There are a number of carbon standards that are in existence today, and we provide high-quality assurance that forest carbon projects, especially those that have multiple co-benefits, are meeting high-quality rigorous standards. This gentleman is the chief of the Pato Suruí tribe in the Brazilian Amazon, and they're one of the very first indigenous groups to receive VCS and Climate Community Biodiversity Alliance certification. The other thing that we're doing on reducing impacts from deforestation and degradation, red, is capacity building. This can involve climate education modules that reach out to communities